So I know what you're thinking as you read that title. There's no way this motherfucker, as good looking as he is, could explain one concept in 13 minutes that is going to make me millions of dollars and rich for the rest of my life. You're wrong. I'm about to exactly do all that, and I'm not even going to sell you a course like 99.9% of everyone else on YouTube. I'm already fucking rich. I don't need your money. It's okay. I'm actually just pissed now that you're doubting me, which is why I'm going to explain this one concept to you that if you get, you will realize making money is not about hard work or any of the haiku shit you see in the sidebar right now about figuring out your mind or whatever the fuck the people on the internet are telling you these days. You just have to do this one thing and optimize your life around it, and it will be virtually almost impossible for you not to get rich. It will be like going to Vegas and playing 100 rounds of roulette and betting red and losing every single time. It's just not going to happen. You're going to hit. And the only thing separating you from a life of a lot of money, which you want since I assume you're here, and a life of no money or less money than you want, maybe you're a business owner, you're already making some good money. The only thing separating you from that is listening to me for the next 10 minutes. Okay, you good? Let's begin. So, the thing that people misunderstand about money is they think it comes down to hard work or skills or I don't know, whatever. You go to a business event, you'll see people on stage talking about all sorts of wahoo stuff about how to go out there and be successful, get good at hiring, get good at building software, get good at where. No, it doesn't come down to any of that. What making money comes down to is truly just understanding how to take risk, manage risk. I'm just going to put an M here because I'm not going to write all this out. You won't be able to read it anyways. My handwriting style is that of a fresh pressed retard. So this is really just for me to help me think. So bear with it. And then making decisions about said risk. This is it. If you are actually extremely good at this and know how to efficiently do these things, you don't even have to work. Let me explain. Let's say you bought Bitcoin at $1. You could make billions of dollars. You wouldn't have to work a day in your life. If you bought Apple when it originally launched and you were able to take a risk with that with 100,000, whatever dollars, you put $1 million in there then by now. You'd be a billionaire. You'd never have to work a day in your life. Making money has nothing to do at all with hard work or the skills you have as an entrepreneur. This is the first course understanding of making money that you have to have. And the reason why so many people are so bad at making money is because they, one, refuse to take risk, and then they get very bad at managing risk and in making decisions around risk. If you are super fucking good at this, you don't have to do any work whatsoever. You just have to sit around and make decisions about risk all day, which is why Warren Buffett is so damn rich. The guy doesn't work, doesn't run any companies. He just invests and takes very smart risks every single day. It's the epitome of the core of making money. Now, let me explain this to you in a way that will actually make you rich, now that you understand this. See, what most people try to do is they try to make money their entire life while not taking risks. They go to college, no risk. They just get in debt, which is risk of its own, a very stupid risk, but it's not a risk from their perspective. They try to go and save money. They try to work a job and not get fired. They try to build businesses even. If you're a business owner right now, do you want to know the reason you're not making as much money as you want? You don't take any fucking risk. You try to outwork, you try to outthink, you try to outrun, do everything you possibly can to avoid this one thing, risk. And so the reason why most people stay poor and most entrepreneurs never get to the levels they want to get to is they avoid risk at all cost. And what risk truly is actually the misvaluing of an asset. And what risk truly is the chance of misvaluing an asset. But the better way to look at risk is entering a situation where the outcome of an asset's value is unknown. It could be $1,000, it could be 50 cents. And if you buy at a higher price or a lower price, it's going to affect your outcome. So for example, if you buy something for $60 and it ends up being worth $1,000, you make a lot of money. If it ends up being worth 50 cents, you lose a lot of money. Uncertainty. And so what people are actually trying to avoid is uncertainty, not so much risk. But they're interchangeable words, so we'll use the word risk. So how does this make sense? So let me put this in perspective for you so you really see this. So for example, I work about the same amount of hours as a plumber would. Okay, I work sometimes 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes I only work 4 hours a day. Regardless, we'll put in, when I was starting my business, I put in the same amount of hours that a plumber did. Why do I have a net worth that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars and why does the plumber not? It's because my net worth involves massive amounts of risk and putting my time and energy into things that might not pay off. And then more so putting money, lots of money behind things then eventually once I had access to money that might not pay off and were valued extremely low at one point. Really think about that real quick. How did I achieve a 9-figure net worth from my software companies? Let's not even involve my crypto and all the other weird bonkers shit I do, just software. It's because I obtained control of my companies at when they were worthless, and then I invested my time and energy into something that might have turned out worthless, and then I invested lots of money into something that again might have turned out worthless. And so if you really look at the difference between me and a plumber, it's not because I decided to build a software company per se. It's not because I outworked him or did some different type of work that was harder. I mean, if you ever seen a fucking plumber do work, have you ever seen people do lawn care? That's hard fucking work. I sit at this computer all day and send little private messages to my staff like a 15-year-old girl and make millions and millions of dollars a month. I do not work hard compared to them. So really the secret to my success right here is not the fact that I outwork them. It's the fact that I took risk and applied work or invested work in risky assets that were low value and then later on became worth massive value. Well, they took no risk. They showed up on a job and they worked very hard, but there was no risk behind them showing up and fixing a toilet. This is the same thing you look at with employees. This is the same thing you look at with most entrepreneurs. They do stuff they know is going to work. They don't take risk with their time, money, and thoughts. So again, if we go back to it, let's say when I was forming Hyros originally, let's say I just hired one of me, a person as smart as me, and I just sat in the background and told them the type of company I need to build, and let's assume they did all the work. There's lots of people who do that exact situation. I could have built Hyros without ever working a single hour. Why? Because then I would take even more risk by hiring someone, paying them, and then just telling them what to do, or maybe not even telling them what to do. I just find someone with a good idea and I invest in them, and then I'd make the many millions of dollars I have now. That's exactly what other people do as well. So you can see the core to all of this never comes down to hard work or effort. It comes down to accurately being able to judge and manipulate risk to obtain assets for far, far, far less than they're worth. Whether the way to obtain the asset is by obtaining it early when it's first made, like a company, or by being misjudged in its value. And then the other flip side of that is manipulating the asset via work or your own influence to adjust the risk. And so again, we go back to this again. You have to really understand this. The reason why some people get extremely fucking rich and most people don't is they know how to deal with risk. If you want to find people and you want to see why they're not getting the money they want in their life, it's because they don't take any risk. And the thing is, the more risk you take, the better you get at judging risk. For example, when I was first starting software companies, I was very bad at judging risk. I couldn't judge people. I couldn't judge what I was doing. I didn't know how to invest the money. I didn't know how to move the money around. It just didn't work out very well. But as I've taken more risk over the years, as I've done a lot of risky things in crypto, as I've invested in more companies, as I've built more companies, as I've hired more people, as I've started more teams, I've gotten much, much better at analyzing the risk. It's sometimes now I'm able to start companies where I don't work at them at all. I tell the CEO what to do. I tell him how to direct the teams. I find him the people and they do all the work. But again, I'm the one moving the money behind it and obtaining the asset at a very low value to manage the risk. And so really what we want to do, if we want to get rich, if you want to get rich, the only thing you really need to optimize your entire life for is the ability to take and learn and get good at taking risk. So what does this look like? So people misunderstand risk when they think about it. They think it means starting a company. They think it means investing in Bitcoin or something like that. Risk comes in many forms. You have two assets. You have your time, of course, work, energy you put into work, which is kind of like time, but kind of different. So we'll just keep it right there. You have your money. Okay. Most people don't risk any of these. They go and do a job that's low risk. They put their work energy and all their work thoughts, all their high-powered thoughts and thinking behind that job or a company or whatever, where there's no risk. And they don't really take risk with their money at all. Same thing applies to entrepreneurs. They go and start a business that is very low risk. For example, I had many info businesses out there. You see a lot of people starting info businesses and selling you courses on YouTube. You want to know why they do that? Because there's no barrier to entry. There's no risk. You can start up a course and start selling it tomorrow. It's a fantastic business model if you don't want to take risks, which is why many people don't get rich selling courses, at least not what they want to be. If you see a lot of course sellers, they always cap out at about $5 million a year or somewhere around there. If you want to know why Alex Hormozi makes so much damn money right now, is that he took the influencer model and then applied more risk to it by actually acquiring businesses that then approach him and in growing those businesses, obtain the asset for lower value and then blowing up the value of the business. And so he applied massive risk to the course seller model by not selling courses and instead selling something else, which was the ability for him to buy businesses, blew it up. So like I said, though, most people never get good at taking risks because they never take any risk. And so most people spend their entire life avoiding the thing that generates all the money, which is why they're so fucking poor. And our goal here is not to be fucking poor. It's to be fucking rich. So we can't be doing that. Don't be a silly goose. So what we want to do from a young age is we want to be able to allow ourselves to take as much risk as possible with our time, our work thoughts, and eventually our money. Now, here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. This is where it all comes together. If you just do this over and over again for your entire life, you're going to be very rich. When you're 20, when you're broke, when you're whatever, when you're working a job, what you must first do is you must allow yourself maximum time to invest in risk. Now, what I mean by time to invest in risk, this means investing your time and energy into doing things that are risky, which is learning skills and trying things to make money that might not pay off. For example, if you're 17 years old and you spend 2 years learning code and learning to code video games, that's a massive risk. You just spent 2 years on that, but you walk away with a skill that allows you to produce income. That being said, that's not that high of a risk because plenty of people know code these days. If you had done that back in, like, let's say, I don't know, 1995, you'd be a very rich person if you kept on going down that path and then applied more risk to it, which is starting a software company, launching your own software, selling your own software. So how do we do this? Well, when you're 20 years old, I don't know how you're going to go and generate money. I don't really care. But let's say 20, 30, 50, whatever. Let's say you just got a job. You have some ability to make money. You need to get your lifestyle cost as low as humanly possible. I don't care. Move to Wyoming. Get a studio apartment that's $300 a month. There's stuff like this that exists. Share a 2-bedroom unit. I don't know, with some other dude. There's plenty of ways to live completely broke as shit. And so what you want to do is you want to find and reduce your life cost to absolutely nothing. Find or move somewhere where you are living right next to a grocery store or a gym, because all you need to do is eat and work out as a dude, have a computer, have an internet connection, and you just go in there and you have to go work your job, have to do whatever you're going to do to pay for that. But that's going to allow you to work like 20 hours a week, maybe. The rest of your time, you go into trying to make money and taking risk. What are you doing right here? You're taking tons of risk. You are obtaining tons of assets for nothing that could be worth a ton in the future. One of the most important ones is yourself and your future skills and your body. For example, your body is an asset. What you're able to do, how you're able to perform is an asset, just like LeBron James going on the court and playing basketball. That thing that he is inside of his body is worth billions of dollars. Look at everything it's generated. And the reason he's a billionaire is because he obtained that asset for free. And then he took massive risks by investing everything in basketball. His time, his energy, and the rest you already know. So once you've done this, what's going to happen is when you take risk, eventually one of them pays off. When you go first start a business, you're not very good at managing risk. And so what's going to happen as you take risk, your judgment's not going to be as good, which is why when you first originally take risk, you don't have much leverage and you don't have much judgment. The leverage usually comes in the form of money. You just have work. And what work allows you to do with risk is manage and alter risk. So for example, when I started Hyros, yes, I put on lots of money. Yes, I hired the staff. Yes, I took risk financially, but I also augmented the risk with my own work and skills. And so what you're able to do when you take risk is you're able to twist it. You're able to play with the dice when you throw it out in the nether sphere. And the more effort you put into it through hard work and effort, the more you're able to augment the risk in your favor if your judgment and ability to manage that risk is not as good as it should be. So for example, if I was a very, very skilled investor or manager, I could have hired someone to build Hyros and just only paid for it outright and kept a huge chunk of Hyros and had someone else build it. So you see how that works? It's because I was not as good at judging risk that I had to actually go and manage the risk. And so what you're doing in this initial point of it is your actual leverage is very low. You don't have money, so you can't bring multiple people in and blow something up or just throw money at something when it's really cheap. But you can go out there and invest time, and then you can manage the risk itself. Now, what's going to happen when you start to do this is one of these risks is going to pay off. I don't care if it's your first job and landing on a freelance site. I don't care if it's your first business actually working. I don't care if it's you digging into like learning how to manage AI and discovering something new that will work. One of these risks is going to pay off, and it's going to start giving you leverage, and it's going to start giving you money. And what you do at this point is you immediately start taking more risk. Let's say you learn how to make little AI agent bots. That's really popular online right now. Well, the second you know how to do that, you need to go and say, all right, I'm going to start selling these to businesses. Maybe you're doing it for a business at first, as like a support agent or something like that. Then you go and start selling it to businesses yourself. Okay, now you need to take more risk. You hire more people. You take that money to hire people. You take more risk with that, and you hire those people, and then you start selling their time to businesses. Then you go out on your own and you find new ways to throw that money and other people's time and energy other than your own at things, aka you are taking risk on risk on risk on risk. So what most people do when they win their first risk or two and they start making money, that's a dollar sign, by the way, they start making money. What they didn't do is they stop taking risks. They stop and they slow down. They go, no. I've had enough. This is too scary. And then what happens? They try to outwork. They try to outpace everybody, but if they don't go and make more money again because they stop taking risk. If you stop taking risk with your business, aka something that might be uncertain and can send you backwards, or again, what we're truly doing in purely analytical terms, is we are putting money in a place where the outcome of that money is going to be uncertain. And we're using that money to obtain assets that's value in the future is going to be uncertain. Now, of course, we can alter the outcome of those assets. Sometimes you can go into a business, you buy the business, you alter it, the business becomes much more valuable. You're manipulating the risk behind it. You're playing with the die. But at the end of the day, the main thing most humans try to avoid, and the reason why they end up poor, is because they don't take risk. If you constantly take risk, always, the risk eventually pay off. And then what you finally need to learn how to do is how to take risk without blowing up your entire life. So what I talked about earlier on in this video about getting your life costs very low, that's an example of hedging for risk. So if you have all this rent and all this stuff that you have to pay for in your life that's taking up all your money, you're not able to take risk. How do we make tons of money? We take risk. So if you have money going towards other things that is stopping you from taking risks and giving you time to put your time in the risk, what are you doing? You are making yourself poor. But then let's imagine your first risk pays off. So let's imagine you're making 100K a year. What people then do is they then go and make the big mistake I just talked about, just at a higher level. They go and get some type of lifestyle, or they move into a nice place instead of moving that money back and putting it back into risk. If you ever watch Mr. Beast, how did Mr. Beast actually get rich? One, his videos, very clickable, great use of the YouTube algorithm, but really he reinvested every single damn dollar, every ounce of leverage he had back into his business. He never took any money for like the entire time. You can see how powerful that is. But more so what you want to do more like a normal person is when you have this, you go and then structure your life in a way where the risks are not going to ruin you so that you can keep taking more risks. So for example, when I was starting Hyros, yeah, I was investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a month into Hyros, but I had a business that was also generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and I kept my lifestyle costs very, very low. You can see how I balanced one risk with anti-risk and intelligently backing it up. What a lot of people do when they think about risk is they think you have to go all in. You never go all in unless you're a crazy person like Mr. Beast. You can do that all you want. By all means, go. But if you want to be smart, that's why we keep our lifestyles low, or we set up hedges against our bets. So if I'm going to bet $1 million building this software company, you better bet I have $1 million and everything saved up if it goes wrong. You plan for things to go wrong, and then you take more risk. And so what you really want to do, my little buddy, as I started this video, is you need to structure your entire life around rapidly being able to take as much risk as possible and as much big risk as possible. You want to find ways to hedge your life and build it around it so that when you take these big risks, you have a backstop that allows you to then take these risks without going nuts. And what a lot of people do is they don't build that backstop, or they don't think about that. And then when they think about taking the risk, they think they have to take too much risk. And then if they lose on that risk, they're going to lose it all. That's like, I can't invest in these things because then it's going to hurt my lifestyle and everything. You need to just remove the thing that will be damaged behind it so you can keep taking more risk. And as soon as you have success with that risk, you set up another situation again where you've backed up the risk. You made it so you're safe, and then you're able to take another big risk. And you just do this over and over and over and over again. And if you do this, all right, what's going to happen if you mess up one of those big risks? For example, when I started Hyros, I had a business before that. We launched it. It didn't do so well. It didn't do too great. But it didn't ruin me because I set up and I hedged against it. So what did I do again? I took another risk because I had that hedge. I said, okay, cool. We're going to take another one. Hyros was built based on some valuation. That's a multi-9-figure company right now. Do you see how that works? Same thing worked with my businesses. When I had my first info businesses or my course selling businesses that don't really make enough money to go to distance, I used those to hedge to build my business. And then when I was building those info businesses or those original SEO businesses, I had a job. I hedged that, took risk. And so you have to set up your entire life to take risk. That is the point of this video. That is all you need to do. And if you just do that one concept over and over again, you will eventually hit gold, and then you repeat the process over and over and over again. And that's the only thing you truly need to understand about getting rich. Like, subscribe. That's the video.